Not the Footy Show.
Last tackle, so they haven't kicked. The message went across, don't kick before the last. They've got a result! They've got a result! It's there for Jamaica! Yes! And the Lebanon reaction! Ben Jones Bishop! Kiwi players on the deck! Hold the front page of the Jamaican Post! There's your front page story! Jamaica! First ever try at a Rugby League World Cup, and it goes to one of their greats, a man who's been there from day one just about, Ben Jones Bishop, and the traders are celebrating.
As you say, no one more deserving for Jamaica than Ben Jones Bishop than him to score this try tonight, for what he's done for the game in Jamaica and the jersey and the sacrifices and the dedication he's made to get the team to where they are tonight. Really happy for Bish. Wonderful try, great persistence, and the technical side of it, they waited till last play. They played out the set, they were persistent, they kicked it on last play, and they get a reward.
The last tackle kick was the shot tactic. You see?
He's
got the reverse.
Got him on the reverse psychology.
That's it. And Ben Jones Bishop, well, no better man than Jordan Tennant to talk about what has just unfolded, Jordan, there. With Ben Jones Bishop, at 34 years of age, has the honour of scoring that first try.
G'day everybody, welcome to episode 270 of Not the Footy Show. This is the World Cup wrap for week number 2. I'm Warrick Nicolson. That is Robb Cox. Mate, we've just done a massive Recruitment Whisperers. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, go back and listen to that one first and then listen to this one. This is the World Cup edition. So it's a little bit more up vibe and interesting from a point of view as we're actually still enjoying ourselves watching the World Cup. Am I right?
Yeah, mate. Absolutely. I think it's a good thing. The only annoying thing, and everyone says it, is the numbers. But let's hope they never do that again, because it is a big pile of steam and horse doo-doo.
I heard the BBC commentators lay into the Kangaroos for doing it the way they did it. And, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head, I think, with the whole DCE not getting the number that he was not going to get as the reason why they've done it. And they've doubled down the Kangaroos by naming a squad for this game after naming a team for the last game. Mal Meninga, dude, what are you doing?
This is all, like I said last podcast, I believe I said it last podcast, this is all about, in my opinion, Daly Cherry-Evans' feelings. That's what it's all about. We can't, let's make it so woke that no one will know. Well, no, everyone knows, mate. And now you're naming a team in alphabetical order. Unless somebody inside the Kangaroos thinks, oh, it'll be great, people will keep talking about us. It's not positive, guys. This isn't a positive spin. This is, I don't understand why you're doing it. I've got my suspicions, but I don't understand the real reason. And there should be a real reason, because if you're going to do things like this, it's just, it's just trimmings. It's fat on the bone. We don't need it. Let's just get to the cut to the chase,
And visually, it's been hard to like. It's not hard to watch. Like it just doesn't make sense. Your head doesn't compute it. And we've done 2 things on this already, and it's not really why we're opening the show with it. But when you said numbers, I actually thought you were meaning the whole argument out there from, I don't know who was doing it, but we can't watch the World Cup because they're all blowouts.
No,
that's why you play every 4 years. If they did like a tournament every year and there were blowouts in every game, yes, I could say I understand what you're saying. But this is the highlight of like half the team or 3/4 of the teams in the competitions 4 years of their lives, if not their lives, is playing in a tournament like this. They don't care if they're losing 84-0 or 72-6 or whatever. If you saw the Jamaican boys
tell the Jamaican bloke. Yeah.
It's just I opened the podcast with it because it's just spectacular. But that's football. That's what sport does. And if you're saying that, we can't have the World Cup with the minnows in it, then you're denying those moments.
No.
If you watch
I
New
think
Zealand
that-
play that game, sorry, quickly, is that
Yep.
they went through the motions, and Jamaica have made a memory for their entire lives. That's the difference.
Forever.
That's why they do
That's a lifelong memory right there, especially for the fellow that scored it. It's something he'll never ever forget, and his family won't forget it, and they'll have it replaying on their phones, on their iPads, and whatever other devices they've got. And well done. But my main thing about the numbers, mate, is this numbering system that Australia have adopted.
Forced to adopt.
Look at
Forced to adopt. To be clear.
No.
No. They've been forced to do it in an order. They've done a dumb order. They've done a dumb order.
They were not forced. They were not forced to name Cherry-Evans in number 2 and DCE. And Cleary in 14. They were not forced to name players out of their regular numbers. And anyone that tells you that is covering up and smoke screening. They could have named a 1 through 17, a probable 1 through 17, and they didn't, because they didn't want to hurt certain players' feelings. And you know what? If in fact those players would have had their feelings hurt, they shouldn't be anywhere near a Kangaroos team.
It's a privilege to play for the Australian team. It shouldn't be, I'm in a jersey, this jersey or that jersey. I don't like Isaiah. He doesn't care that he's in 24, but
he doesn't. I know you're right. He probably doesn't. But he probably, and I'm not going to speak for him. I'm just surmising. But he probably prefer to play in 13.
Oh, I agree.
And you know, some people will say, "Oh, it's not about the numbers. It shouldn't be about the numbers." And you're kind of right. But at the same time, rugby league has a tradition of playing 1 through 17, and you know, and the halfback plays in the 7. The 5'8" plays in the 6. You know, for a long time, the lock played in the 8. Now they're playing in 13 because that was changed about 20 years ago.
40 years ago.
A bit longer. Yeah, a bit longer.
Like 35 years ago.
You know, but that's a tradition. We've gone totally against tradition, and there's no other reason for it other than thinking some people might get their noses out of joint if we name this bloke who's the incumbent in number 14, he might be a little bit peed off. So we better not do that. Well, incumbents shouldn't matter because, like your argument is, mate, and I agree with you, is that, you know, Damien Cook is still the incumbent hooker. And they didn't give a rat's about him.
And I would argue he hasn't fallen off a cliff. Like,
no
different to what DCE's done, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of where his standing in the game was.
He hasn't, mate. He hasn't. But here's the thing, right? They don't give a rat's about Damien Cook because he's not a Queenslander. Woo-hoo! And everybody. Well, let's just quickly talk about this for one moment, okay? The coach is a Queenslander, long-time Queensland coach. Who are the assistants? Can you give me a New South Wales name?
Adrian Lamb, that great PNG great. Sorry, Queensland great. My bad. I keep
going.
And Michael Hagan,
Queenslander.
Yeah.
So there's no New South Wales players, ex-players or coaches in there, right?
Oh, no. Whoa. You've forgotten the chief selector. PVL's the chief selector, mate. And I'm not making that up.
I didn't know Malta or Greece was a part of part of New South Wales.
Wollongong, or wherever he's from.
Whatever.
He would have been put. Anyway.
Please.
Look, it's not the big deal here, people. We just are disappointed that it just looks bad. You look at the team list now. They put a squad out for the game against Italy. You sent me through what you thought your team would be. Do you have it near you, Cocksmith, or not?
Yeah, I do. That's the team that they. From what they've said there, which is not the best team.
What I want to do is just go through the team as if this is the team, because this halves combination has me so much more excited than the so-called DCE and Cleary combo. I want to see Lindsay Collins at 6. I want to see Reuben Cotter at 7. Make it happen, Malcolm, because that's what he's listed. He's got Burton at fullback, Campbell Gillard and Cleary on the wings, Carrigan and DCE in the centres, Collins and Cotter are the halves. Tino and Valentine Holmes are propping up. Campbell Graham at hooker. Ben
That's
Hunt,
because
Liam Martin, Latrell Mitchell locks the scrum. And then you've got Cam Murray, Jeremiah Nanai, Murray Tuolungi, James Tedesco, Jack White, and Isaiah Yeo is rounding out the bench. Coach is Mal Meninga. I don't know what accent I went there, but I think it's
I think you were trying to do Rabs, but it didn't
I was
work.
going to Rabs.
That's obviously because he put him in alphabetical order, but... yeah, look.
The best bit, Cocksmith, quickly, is can I just read out the numbers in order? Because this is where it just gets delicious. 12, 6, 13, 2, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 4, 3, 21, 8, 11, 22, 23, 1, and the supplementary numbers are number 10 and 24. Good luck.
Wonderful. Yeah, look, let's get off the numbers because people are probably switching off in droves. From that 19?
The one that you sent to me the other day, bud.
Okay, from that 19 that he's chosen there, and I don't think it's their strongest 19, but I'd have Tedesco, Talangi, Holmes and Mitchell in the centres, Graham on the other wing, Whiten at 6.
Yep.
Whiten at 5'8", Cleary at halfback, Yo at lock, Murray and Nanai in the second row, RCG and Collins in the front row, Hunt at hooker, and my bench would be DCE, probably to play halfback in the second half, for Malawi, Martin and Carrigan, with Cotter and Burton at 18 and 19.
Do you think Cotter? I think Cotter ends up in the squad because he didn't play the second game because of a concussion.
At whose expense?
I think they will rest. Where is he? I reckon there's a chance Carrigan might get a rest.
I think actually Carrigan is probably in your top 17.
Oh no! I'm with you there. Yeah. But he clearly hasn't done what I wanted him to do, which was pick his best 13, and then.
So we may as well just give some more Queenslanders a run, mate. So yeah, good idea.
I would have been happy with him just resting like your key players in the second half.
Whatever.
I don't see the point in naming Teddy if he's not going to play fullback. What's the point? Like he could not be 18 or 19. I don't disagree with much of that. It's just a matter of whether he decides to play Whiten at 6 or at the right centre position, which is where I'd like him to play.
I don't think he's going to. Well, unless he drops Mitchell or Holmes and has them in the extended bench, I think he'll probably play them both. Even though I don't think they're our strongest centres, I've said that before.
I'm happy with it. But anyway, to be fair, like I don't dislike Holmes and Mitchell. It's just I would prefer to have Holmes on a wing instead of Talangi or Graham.
But I mean, most importantly for me, I think the linchpin here is to give Whiten a run at 5'8". For mine, so he gets, just in case, gets a run there, and then either give DCE or Cleary the first half and the other one the second half. If this is what he wants him to do, I'm not convinced he's going to do that. By the way, I'm actually more convinced with what you said, and he's going to play DCE at 6 and Cleary at 7.
Or is he going to play Cleary at 6 and DC at 7? If we don't want to hurt the feelings.
Well, all it means is one's left and one's right. It doesn't matter. But ultimately, who's going to run the team?
But this is the problem. If he starts both of them, Cocksmith, he has to play them both through 80, doesn't he?
No.
Because who does he rest for the second half? What does that say? Does that say that person's got the spot, or does that say the person doesn't have the spot?
You know what? Maybe he can rest them both, mate, and put Hunt and Whiten in the halves. He could do that, and you could probably play Cameron Murray at hooker for the second half.
Yeah.
If he's going to play with a really, really straight bat, if he wants to play these games, that's what. If I was thinking like that, that's what I'd do. Put them both on in the first half, and then swap the halves around completely. When we get to 17
as much as they can, because we need to talk about how the games will go on, and we'll do that in a sec. But because we're doing this podcast at the end of the week rather than just at the end of the games themselves, there's less to talk about from a retrospective point of view. I'm really interested in what he does with Cam Murray, because in the first game he played him at 13 and played Yo off the bench, didn't he? I'm trying to remember.
Don't remember.
It's a good question. Sorry. As I pontificate, I might have completely stuffed that up. Just let me check, everybody. Apologies. No, Murray came off the bench.
Murray off the bench, yeah.
No, Yo didn't play. Okay, I'm with it.
Yo and Cleary.
They rested.
Yo and Cleary, yeah. That's right, the Penrith and the Parramatta teams.
So Murray played third, and he played great. I just think he needs to be locked in on that edge because that's where he's going to play in our big games. This is what I was disappointed with. To me, you had 2 games to give everyone a go. And I know you're playing Italy, and I know the score could push 3 figures. But to me, it's like we've played no tests in 3 years. They should be playing as many games as they can. I mean, the quarterfinal looks like it'll be Lebanon. They'll give us a contest in the first 20, but I expect us to run through them, obviously, in the rest of the match. It's just like, the more games you can play with your best players together, that sets you up for that New Zealand semi-final, because I don't want to go into that New Zealand semi-final having rested, Munster and Cleary and that in the second halves of games we easily walk through in the next 2 weeks, which I can see him doing. I don't like that. I want our best team on the field.
Yeah, look, I'm holding out hope that we'll see in that quarterfinal. I'm holding out hope that we'll see our best team, and that should be the basis of the team going forward, unless there's an injury. And I think it's a little bit different to what this team is, but not a whole lot. I think Martin needs to be in the team, and I think Addo needs to be in the team.
Yeah, I'm actually. We talked off air yesterday, the other day when I was setting up this pod time to record, and it's like I didn't think the Fox would want to miss out, because I think he's after that top try scorer mantle for the World Cup, and so him to miss out is interesting. Munster also takes a break. You had Cotter and Burton as your 18th and 19th. I think Burton's a certainty to miss out in that role. I just think I'd swap. I think he'll give Carrigan a break.
Okay.
In that 18th man, and they'll play Cotter in off the bench. Is the gut feel?
I'm sorry, I just made a mistake, mate. I forgot that Liam Martin was in this 19. So I apologise for that. But I think Collins will miss out on the top 19 when it comes around.
Apparently there was a bit of biff between him and Tino.
Big Tino and Big Lindsay had a little bit of a brouhaha, a fracas.
I'm feeling sorry for the Italian stallion Nathan Brown, because he's about to cop it from both of them if they get on the field at the same time.
I don't think you'll find Nathan Brown firing up at either of those two.
Interesting. We'll get to New Zealand in a sec. Let's just go through the results from week number 2. We've talked about the Australian team for this next game, but we need to spend 5 minutes talking about that performance against Scotland, Cocksmith, because that was, I love this word, it was delicious. We were so incredibly good in that game, and 84 actually seemed like unders.
Yeah, I thought we were going to crack the 3. I thought we were going to get the 3 figures.
Everything we did worked, and poor old Scotland tried, but like if you ever want an example of a sheer golfing class and one team just never having a hope of anything in a game, that is the example. Put that game on and you can just watch poetry in motion. We were spectacular.
But let's be honest. The Panthers team that won the New South Wales Cup this year would beat Scotland. The Panthers, reserve grade team would beat Scotland and probably beat them by 30. So I don't know how much we can read into it. All we saw was we saw players that were working together, and this is to your point.
Yeah.
You want to see. It was almost like just an opposed session. But you want to see, if you're going to pick Cleary, you want to see him and Munster and Yeo working together. Those 3, But I guess at the moment, Mal just doesn't want to say it. He just doesn't want to say it for some reason. But
what did Cleary score? 28 points on debut or something?
28, I think it was.
Or 28. And it's just like...
It was 2 or 4 short of...
if you watch the game again, he's involved in pretty much every try. And not just involved as in I passed the ball to someone, they did something. He actually is a linchpin in every single play. And the Munster-Cleary, Munster-Cleary Tedesco combination was just a joy to watch. We were just so good. And this is an interesting part about you were saying before about, maybe we did the numbers thing to get people talking about Australia. Our performances on the field, I love watching Australia play more than New South Wales, more than Origin. I love watching the best players that we have in Australia play together, because what they produce is just magic. It really is a joy to watch, and more Test football would be spectacular. So we beat Scotland 84-0. Then Fiji turned around and beat Italy 60-4. England beat France 42-18. The Kiwis waltzed home 68-6 over Jamaica, but that try from them was just the greatest. Lebanon beat Ireland in a pretty good contest, and that should see Lebanon into the quarterfinals at Ireland's expense. Samoa beat Greece 72-4 and fixed that differential problem they had a week ago. I think they'll be okay for the quarterfinals. Tonga beat Wales 32-6 in a pretty lackluster display from Tonga. I was impressed by Tonga in the first game, but not this one, Cocksmith. Very poor. And then the final game, PNG beat Cook Islands 32-16 in a good game of footy. What were your takeaways from that week? Anything of note?
Not really, mate. Other than, to be perfectly honest, other than the Australian demolition job, just seeing them becoming very cohesive, that's really my main takeaway. And also, I like watching PNG just smash other teams.
First tackle of the game, he just got belted, the Cook Islands bloke. And it's just like, that's going to be the case for 80 minutes, boys. Get ready. And they were lifeless after a little while. They just got belted. Mind you, did you see that high tackle from the prop forward for PNG?
Yeah.
You got 1 week.
What's he getting NRL for that?
Well, you know how much I love my joke history, but that's at least 4. That's a send off.
I would have said 3 or 4.
It was so bad. But anyway, the guy is still.
Hey, I've got a question. I didn't think. I thought throughout this whole World Cup that we weren't going to have referees of the same origin refereeing a game. So an Australian referee refereeing an Australian game. I thought they were going to have neutral referees the whole time. That's what I remember reading somewhere.
That's possible because they just basically went with a 5 or 6 from the NRL and a few from England. Chris Kendall, the referee from the UK Super League, I'm a huge fan. I actually, that back in the day we saw Russell Smith come over and even Ashley Kleins come over, and it's like, I'd love to see him referee. I don't want to see Chris Kendall come to Australia and get ruined by the NRL. I see a referee who is sure of himself, makes good decisions, is extremely fit. Stay in the UK Super League, mate. Do some World Cup challenges, do some test matches or whatever, but don't ruin yourself by coming over here and having to become a robot like the rest of our poor ladies and gents. And Casey Badger was really, really good the other day. Did you see the game she refereed?
No, didn't see the women's game. No.
No, she did the male game.
She did men's game, did she?
Yeah,
okay.
I think it was the Tonga match. Just want to double check.
Oh, good on her.
I don't have it right in front of me, but she did the game, and she was just solid and made a couple of calls. It could have been the Lebanon game actually, but she made a couple of calls that were like, if she's in the NRL, she's sending it upstairs. Yeah, but she said nope. To knock on out to the 20. And I'm just going, yes, back yourself.
Yep,
breath of fresh air. Just do it.
You know how a couple of minutes ago you mentioned World Club Challenge?
Yeah.
Did you read that the World Club Challenge next year in 2023, the beginning of 2023, will probably be in Australia?
With all the reserve grade team for Penrith?
I think they'll want to win it. I think they'll want to win it, mate. So, yeah, that'll be something to look forward to. I might even go and watch that game.
Ooh, excitement. So we have round 3 or week 3 of the World Cup coming up, and unfortunately for the organisers, all the quarterfinal spots look pretty much decided. England will take top spot, assuming they take care of Greece in their Pool A game. Samoa will beat France, so they will take care of second spot. I guess there is a threat there that if Samoa don't turn up like they did against England, that France could do a number on them. But France just look a little bit limited in the point scoring department. So I expect Samoa to have rebounded and smashed Greece to take care of second spot. Australia will get top spot in Group B, and Fiji will be the team that goes through, because there is just no way that Scotland's beaten Fiji and Italy has not beaten Australia. So Fiji are going through. In Group C, New Zealand, who we will talk about their team in a second, they will go through in the top of Group C. Technically, Ireland is still ahead of Lebanon, Cocksmith, on the table because of for and against. But they play each other, and Dway's back for Lebanon. You would expect Lebanon to beat Jamaica. Sorry, that's who they're playing. And they just have to beat Jamaica to go through, because Ireland will not beat New Zealand. And in the most contested group, which is Group D, Tonga is through. Papua New Guinea, who beat Cook Islands, pretty much is safe, because the Cook Islands are going to play Tonga, and you expect them to lose that. And then Wales would have to beat the Papua New Guineans by like 40 points to go past them on the table. So PNG will be through. So that means the quarterfinals, so everybody is aware, will be Australia, Lebanon, New Zealand, Fiji, England, PNG, and Tonga versus Samoa. Thoughts?
That's a big one. That one, there's Tonga, Samoa's a cracker. Absolute cracker. Because they just, always turn up against each other, really. When the teams have been chosen quite, like when there's enough player talent to choose pretty equal teams, they'll just go at each other. which is just a beautiful just a beautiful opportunity for them. And you're right. Australia should walk through Lebanon. Should Lebanon make it? The way he's back, like you say, as long as he doesn't use any blunt language towards the referee again, that he keeps saying he didn't do.
But he had supporters who on the field who said he didn't say it. I thought the line that to me summed up allegedly that he may have been telling the Porkies was where he says the referee hears what he wants to hear.
Yeah.
So does that suggest that the rest of the game he may have said something very similar? So he thought that he said it again.
The quote that I loved was somebody said, "Oh, he would," and it's pretty easy to find what he allegedly said, or in fact what he said. And someone came out and said he doesn't speak like that ever. Well, he'd be the first NRL player that I ever met that doesn't say those particular words, which are quite short words, both 4-letter words. So I think it doesn't take too much imagination to figure out what he said. And he would be the very first NRL player that has never spoken like that on the field. Yeah, if he didn't say that, in fact.
Yeah. Anyway, he's back for them this weekend. They should take care.
I can't wait.
They're playing Jamaica, so that'll be fun. Okay, the games for week 3, and we'll talk about New Zealand once I've listed the games. So the games for week 3 on Saturday morning Australian time. It's New Zealand and Ireland. England then play Greece Sunday morning at 12:30, and then during the middle of the night Fiji, Scotland, and then Australia's Sunday morning at 5:30. So if you want to get up and watch that and watch Australia push for the 100, that'll be against Italy on Sunday morning. Starts about 5:30 a.m. Sydney time. Adjust if you've got daylight saving, etc. Then Sunday night at 11 o'clock, Cogsmith. So it's a bit of an earlier one. People might be able to start for this one. You've got Lebanon and Jamaica. And then the next morning at 1:30, you got Tonga and Cook Islands. And then further in the morning then is Samoa and France, which is the only game that has any real potential, I think, of upset, Bill. So that's the way it works. And then on Tuesday morning, you've got PNG and Wales, where PNG should theoretically take care of business to make the quarterfinals. New Zealand, Cocksmith, they actually named a team for their game against Ireland. Yep. And my question to you as I read it out will be, is this their best 17? Joseph Manu, Malutalo, Nakora, Hiku, Rapana, Brown, Hughes is back, Jesse Bromwich, Brandon Smith, Fisher Harris, Bromwich, Kenny Variety, Nelson Asofa Solomona, Joseph Tapine is lock. The bench, Papali'i, Foran, JWH, and Isaac Liu. The 18th and 19th men are Nickel Clogstab and Sorensen. Yep. Is this their best team?
It's darn close, mate. Look, the only place. Look, if you're going to say New Zealand weak anywhere on paper, they're weak in the centres.
Yeah.
On paper, but both of those guys, Hiku and Nakora, have done fine jobs for them there in the past. Isaac Liu, I don't know. I'm not too sure. I think. Who was the second extended reserve player?
The other one that's probably his biggest competitor is Niokore.
Who's the 19th man?
Sorensen and Nickel Clogstar are the
I think I'd prefer Sorensen than Liu on the bench. But look, it's a darn strong side. Now that Hughes is back, Dylan Brown will probably be able to do what he does a bit better with someone like Hughes around. It's a good side, mate. I mean, it's forward pack. Forward pack, mate. I mean,
what do you reckon about starting Nelson in the second row and then having Papali'i on the pine?
Yeah, look, I think this will be the first game that he started for New Zealand, won't it? I think Nelson, if not at least for this series anyway. He hasn't started before for the World Cup. Look, there's got to be a plan there. It's not like, hey, let's stick him out there. It's probably a 25-minute plan. Let's see what you've got for the first 25, and then we'll make it up as we go. But
it's all about prep for Australia, surely.
I think it is, because I think every team that's vying to play Australia, and there's only two others, maybe three, but probably two others that think they can make it. you want to have your. I mean, I think to beat Australia, you're going to have to really turn up and dominate the forwards.
Yep.
Really dominate the forwards. So, I think it's all prep for Australia, mate.
England. I watched the game against France and they were okay. They certainly weren't on the same level they played against Samoa, although Samoa did roll over and let them run all over them in that game.
Samoa made them look better than they were, I think.
I think so, because France had a go and they weren't completely out of the game as it progressed, but then the full-time score was 42-18. But I don't know. England will get PNG in the quarters. They've got to watch out. This next game that England play, I think they play Greece. They just need a really strong performance. They need to be taking some momentum because I thought they went back a step against France in that game. Fiji, they'll give New Zealand a run, but they won't be good enough, unfortunately, for them. And, as you say, Tonga and Samoa is the big one that'll be the quarterfinal. Samoa, just quickly on them as we wrap up the show. I'm just left a little bit meh by them.
I'm not convinced yet. That's the thing. It's after two games. One was dismal, and the other one was better. It's hard to be convinced. This week will tell you a whole lot more about Samoa than the two previous weeks.
They need to take care of France and take care of them well. I don't put any stock in the fact they beat Greece by 72.
No, neither do I. I mean, that's expected. Yeah. But they need to put a big number this week on France.
And and the thing is, their forward pack will get tested by France. France's forward pack's not the worst thing you've ever seen. So over to Papali'i and co and see if they can lift for that encounter. Cocksmith, that is our World Cup wrap for week 2, sort of looking towards week 3. We know what the quarterfinals, to remind you people, will probably be. It's Australia, Lebanon, New Zealand, Fiji, England, PNG, and Tonga and Samoa. So we're on track for it. You'd think England, well, I'm not convinced. I'm going to say it. I know we wrote them off at the start of the tournament, England. We said there's no chance. And then we had egg on our face within like a week and they smashed Samoa. Do you think are they home against PNG?
Oh, look.
I don't know.
PNG are one of those teams. I think their whole MO is to bash you and see what happens. And I think they'll beat PNG, but I wouldn't put my house on it.
Uh-huh.
And those there'll be quite a few of those English lads that haven't been hit the way they're going to get hit against PNG. PNG you will remember that you played them for probably 2 or 3 weeks, and I mean physically remember that you played against them. So, I don't know. I still think it's going to be an Australia-England final.
Okay, so you've changed off Samoa. You've written them off now from what you had originally, which was
from what I've seen. What I've seen, mate, I can't. I just can't. I can't pick a team that doesn't really have a halfback to make a World Cup final.
Well, this is the thing about Tonga that I was disappointed at. They changed up their team for game 2. I thought that was a mistake. After looking good enough to beat PNG, and they put a decent PNG team away in the end, they then played a bunch of different players in the halves. And I'm like, if that young Katoa kid is going to the Dolphins is the guy they wanted at 6, he should have been there. They played Damone and they didn't look that's good.
No. Yeah, look, I don't think Samoa have a strong enough ball player in their team. A real dominant ball player. Like Australia's got 3 of them. Really. Australia have got DCE, Cleary, and Munster that could each one of them could really easily run the team, and structure all their attack around that person. Whereas Samoa don't really have a person. I mean, I know they've got Luai.
It was really good. He bounced back. He did bounce back. He certainly did. But,
well, I think we'll know a lot more after this week, mate.
Yeah, and I think you'll see possibly Tessie New at fullback for Tonga in the next game because he was pretty effective for them. They just need to get their attack in order, Tonga, and I think they can beat Samoa. But their first port of call is to take care of the Cook Islands. That's episode 270 and Not the Footy Show. I'm Warrick Nicholson. That's been Robb Cox. That's our Rugby League World Cup update. We'll be back after the weekend of week 3 to look forward to the quarterfinals and probably another Recruitment Whisperers because in rugby league, there's players changing every 3 minutes.
Coaches, players, referees, administrators, assistant coaches, water runners, massage therapists, everybody.
Fantastic. Groundskeeper Willie, groundskeeper Josh Jackson.
Absolutely.
He's
Get
got
on
a
the
new
mowers,
gig.
boys.
And we'll speak to you next time here on Not the Footy Show. Take us out, Cocksmith.
Catch you later, brother. Pepsi.
Not the Footy Show.
You've been sleeping over there?
Pepsi.